Hello everyone, it's Shane Kanto, your Wasteland reviewer, and I'm here to review Joker, Folie à Deux. And this is the sequel to the billion-dollar Joker film starring Joaquin Phoenix as Arthur Fleck, the man who's ostracized by society, dealing with mental illness, and winds up shooting a talk show host live on television and murdering other people. And here he is in Arkham Asylum, preparing for trial, and Todd Phillips is back with this sequel. This is it feels like it has a lot of hands in there, written by Scott Silver and Todd Phillips, as they're navigating this story of Arthur being imprisoned, his treatment inside Arkham Asylum, this perception of him by the public, whether he is some kind of idol, martyr, some kind of like the worst evil in the world. He catches the fancy of Harley Quinzel, played by Lady Gaga, who is so fascinated by him, the persona of Joker. And this film really sees Arthur going through these delusions that creates this film as a musical and shapes it in terms of him singing and dancing, and then cutting to these like stand-up comedy shows or like live variety shows and all of these different kinds of elements. This film is a mess, for sure, without a doubt. There's so much going on. It's trying to say so much and winds up saying so little at the same time, because nothing is clear. It's so muddled, and it's really struggling to process anything of consequence. And it's one of those kinds of things where this is a film that is really trying to make some kind of commentary on mental illness, how those in these asylums, mental institutions, are treated so poorly. You have Brendan Gleeson, who's one of the guards, who's, getting what he wants out of Arthur, but then also, treating him like crap. And you have his lawyer, played by Catherine Keener, who seems to be one of the few people who actually sympathizes with him and is trying to do best by him. You have Harvey Dent, the prosecutor, who, honestly, the casting of that character was so forgettable. It's kind of disappointing. And you have, through this mechanism of this trial, you have Arthur's past coming back. Whether it's Zazie Beetz' character, who opens up horrible trauma for Arthur, and you have Lee Gill, who plays Gary Puddles, who really makes Arthur look at his actions, and then you see his effect on the other inmates in a One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest kind of vibe, where they definitely bring some elements of that story beats into this, with this young man that he's inspiring, and then there's this looming presence in the background, this other inmate, and there's just so many moving pieces here, but none of it gets enough depth to really explore. Even Harley Quinn, Lady Gaga is great. She sells the emotion, she sells the musicality of her performance and everything, but this character is so specifically one note and represents this one idea, and there's no real depth to her. Brendan Gleeson is great, but he also represents this one idea. Joaquin Phoenix adds so many layers to this performance as Arthur, and it's great. You see the little choices in terms of when his delusions take over, and when he's shifting in between this Arthur Fleck person and is the Joker a different persona, or at least he goes into this delusion and sees himself in this way and acts differently, and it's all in there in his performance. I feel like you have Joaquin Phoenix has sung in films before, like Walk the Line, but it's a little simpler in terms of what he's trying to do as Johnny Cash. Here it's more it's more feel than actual singing quality, and I think it works for what they're trying to do. Obviously, then Lady Gaga starts singing, and she's just absolutely amazing. But you have all of these different kinds of elements coming together, and it's a fascinating exploration, but there's so many ideas and so many things that it's trying to say, and just all gets muddled together. I think the musical elements. It's really shot well. I think the music works. The songs can be a little on the nose in terms of like this jukebox musical choice that it's doing, in terms of like cherry picking these songs to sing the exact feelings of the characters. It just feels like, and it winds up ending in this way that's trying to say something bigger about society and what Arthur Fleck could represent, but it just doesn't have the impact because there's so many other things that it's trying to navigate through that it doesn't really get a chance to breathe in a meaningful way. At the end of the day, this is such a crazy idea of what to do for a sequel to Joker, and it swings big, but honestly hits barely makes contact with any of it. And this is not like the worst film in the world that I'm seeing a lot of people saying that it is, but it's not an effective film in accomplishing basically anything it's trying to do. But it's overlong, it's slow at times, it's clunky in terms of its storytelling, but as a cinematic experience, there's interesting things about it still and some strong performances. And at the end of the day, did we ever really need this? And especially with this result, probably not. But those are my thoughts on Joker. Folie à deux. Let me know what you think and let's talk some movies. But thank you as always for tuning in and supporting your Wasteland reviewer.